So last week, our president gave a big dumb speech on ghost guns, and it was ridiculous, as you can guess. And Kaylee Allen's going to come talk about it, a school shooting survivor. She's coming up next to expose some of the propaganda.
But, folks, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, and you need to call California firearm lawyer John Dillon, especially if you have questions on red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you need to know that your guns are California compliant. Call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Call 760-642-7150 or just visit the website at dillonlawgp.com. All right.
So like I said, President Biden, we were just talking about it a little bit. President Biden had a press conference. So the anti-gun groups are really, really good at picking one thing, and then that's their thing that they concentrate on, and they hammer it into your ears like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to the world until they get some progress on it. And then at some point they figure out, okay, we've accomplished what we tried to accomplish. We banned whatever we tried to ban, or they move on. Or they chip away and move on to the next thing. So the latest thing is ghost guns, and they're actually conflating the two issues. They're conflating ghost guns, which is a term like a pejorative term for a gun that doesn't have a serial number, and home manufactured guns, which may or may not be a ghost gun, but they're two different things. So they know that ghost guns, that sounds horrible, and people are, they're basically going to get a lot more traction going after ghost guns. But what they're really doing is they're going after home manufactured firearms. And so Biden gave a whole big, long speech on what they're going to do, and the ATF is basically going to redefine what a firearm is, and there's going to be all kinds of regulations. But one of the important things to know about this is all cut and paste from California. And, his vice president is a former senator from California. I mean, this isn't, so all the people that left California and went to Arizona or went to Tennessee or wherever you went and showed your middle finger to California or way out and said, ha, 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 your gun laws are stupid. Okay, well, all those gun laws are coming to find you. They're going national. They're coming to find you. Mm-hmm. So there's no way to run and hide anymore. You have to stand up and fight. But I was talking to my friend Kaylee, and she pointed out something very, very interesting about one of the guests for his press conference. So I wanted to have Kaylee come on and talk about it. Kaylee, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. It's nice to hear from you again. Tell everybody. Let's kind of set it up. Tell everybody who you are. Tell a little bit about the very tragic thing that you went through.
So November 14th, 2019, a gunman walked onto campus and began firing. He had used a ghost gun, and he had killed 2 people, injured 3 others, and then killed himself. And I was there. I performed first aid on a victim and essentially waited what felt like forever for help to arrive.
And as a result, you were already your parents, your dad was fairly. It was a hobby for him. He owned some firearms, but it essentially what was the impact on your views on the Second Amendment?
I was not necessarily pro Second Amendment. I felt like I had understood the gun control side of it, and I was almost supportive of it to a certain extent. Firearms kind of scared me quite badly. I didn't want to go shoot them. I pretty much avoided them if I could. And after the shooting, I had really done my research on them, and I had fallen in love with them and the idea of them. And now shooting is a hobby for me.
That's awesome. And you came to give a talk at Gun Prom last year, which we very much appreciate. And you wrote an article for us, and you've been on the air with us. And did you watch the speech with Biden last week?
I did.
And what were your thoughts on that?
So our school had now made national media once again. They had picked the survivor that I had helped from our school to speak there. And I just found it really interesting that, they chose her out of all people from our school.
So at the press conference, just to clarify, at the press conference, yeah. he's talking about everything, and you know how they have people that they bring people and kind of feature them and say, hey, something horrible happened to them and that's why we need this law or whatever. So the person that they brought on was somebody that somebody they went to school with.
Yes.
And tell us about that. What was they were at the school when on the day that the shooting happened?
Yeah, she was one of the victims. She was shot. She was actually the victim that I had helped that day.
Wow.
And she is very, very anti-gun. And she essentially told her story and talked about the anti-Second Amendment group she had joined, and then introduced President Biden, who gave his speech.
So what are your feelings on this? Is somebody, you went through the same experience, but you guys came to two different conclusions of, as far as what would have helped. What were your thoughts on that with them using her in that way?
I've seen it on multiple gun speeches that President Biden has made, but as well as other politicians. They typically pick someone who doesn't know a whole lot about the laws that they are talking about. And really her story was just pure emotion. It had absolutely no fact, no solution, or no working solution, I should say. And she went up there and she stirred up a whole bunch of emotion, made people teary-eyed, and then essentially announced her support for Biden's gun laws and walked off. And they always use someone who doesn't know necessarily what they're talking about, which is quite bothersome because, there's a ton of people from my school who would be willing to stand up and say that they don't like what Biden's plan is, and clearly it's not working because a ghost gun was used in our school, and we have these laws here in California.
Which is an excellent point, right? The law here pretty much existed in California. You had to have all your guns had to be serialized for the most part. So it already existed here, but it didn't stop it. No, that was not mentioned.
No, that was not mentioned at all. And I also found it funny because, talking about ghost guns, they almost had to use her because, a majority of school shootings, ghost guns are not used. It is registered firearms that were, already purchased legally from wherever. And we were one of the very few school shootings where a ghost gun was used. Not the only, but one of the only ones that made national attention. And that was their only option for someone to come speak, because the other survivors at our school are not necessarily pro-2A, but they're not anti-2A either. And they can notice unconstitutional gun laws when they see them.
So in other words, it's just not that widespread an issue of people using ghost guns to do these big horrible mass shootings, which there really aren't a whole lot of mass shootings. They very, very few and far between, and someone using a ghost gun to commit that kind of heinous act is even more rare. And so they found like the one person in the nation that they could bring up there to support their laws. That's kind of what you're saying. Even in the shooting, most of the people who are survivors, you're saying, really wouldn't have supported this law. Whether or not, however they view guns or whatever, you're saying that the folks that that are survivors really wouldn't have supported this law.
I think, some of them are in support of some gun laws, but I think when you really get down to the details of these laws, most would be unsupportive of them.
Interesting. And of course, when we
have them.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Say that again, Kaylee.
Especially because we already have these laws in place.
Yeah, and this is the worst part is we keep calling it a law just out of convenience, but really it's not a law. He's the executive branch of government. He's actually not supposed to be changing laws. But in effect that's what he's doing. He's directing the ATF to redefine firearms, which is in and of itself a huge mistake. No matter where you stand on guns, or whether you're a NRA member or a Brady organization member, you should support the idea that we should do things the way that they're spelled out in the Constitution. Which is the executive branch. They don't make the laws. That's the legislative branch. Which is
would you call that playing by the rule book?
I'd say it was not playing by the rule book.
Right. But that's, I mean, you got to play by the rule book. That's the only way the game needs to be played.
I think it's more gaming the system is what he's doing, because he's kind of following the rules, but not really.
Right.
No.
Right.
So that's interesting, Kaylee. Now, have you ever, just out of curiosity, of course, the other thing is, I don't know this the lady or the young lady that Biden picked, and I don't have anything against her. She went through a horrible experience. I think that it would take a very, very strong person like yourself, Kaylee, to come out of that experience without being overly emotional about a lot of it. So, I'm certainly not picking on her, and, understand her point of view, and my heart goes out to her. I truly am sorry that she had to experience what she had to experience. But I'm just curious, have you ever talked to her? Have you guys ever sat down and said, hey, you know what, let's really talk about this? You and I went through this similar, basically the same experience. I have a different opinion than you. Have you guys ever hashed that out or tried to?
I've tried on multiple occasions with her. She was not someone who wanted to talk about it. She was pretty set in her opinion and didn't want to hear my opinion, and ended up blocking me. I mean, we don't talk at all now, and haven't for well over a year.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Did things get heated? I mean, was there name calling, or she just doesn't like the fact that, other people have different opinions?
No, it really came out during the whole BLM stuff. She, started bashing cops, and I had, just mentioned that cops were probably, despite all of us sitting there, there was not much we could do. And cops coming and clearing the campus, with them being the good guys with guns, were really what saved her life. And
is she going to hang over, or?
I think that's great. Thank you so much, Kaylee. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your story very much and everything you do. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever dreamt about becoming a pilot? Well, make that dream come true at San Diego Flight Training International. We are so excited to welcome San Diego Flight Training International as a new sponsor. Learn to fly, start the adventure of a lifetime in the heart of San Diego, right in Montgomery Field. Getting started is easy, then just give them a call, 858-569-1822. You can learn to fly with SDFTI. Call them today, 858-569-1822, and I'll see you in the clouds.
We got to have those guys on. I want to talk about that. You a pilot? You pilot, Joe? You seem like a guy that's taken a flight lesson or two.
No, I never. I was not crazy about those little planes. I felt much more comfortable in the helicopter than I did in the fixed wing plane. So no, I'm not a fan of those.
Oh, all right. Well, we got to have them on and talk about it. So, what are your thoughts, Joe? What do you think about the ghost gun thing that they're going after?
Yeah, again, it's the same thing. It's like you were saying a little bit earlier. They come up with a cool name, ghost guns. Wow, we get a lot of mileage out of that. It's like assault rifle,
right?
And so you come up with a cool name, and you just push the stuff. But I mean, it's not. There's no substance there, and that's they never argue substance. They never take a position on that kind of stuff, because it's I wrote about this. Was it a couple of months ago? We were talking about National Registry or National Gun Register. And, I cited a couple of places in there where the police rarely, if ever, use a registered gun to solve a crime.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't happen that way. There was one site in there, one reference, I think it was the New York State Police, went all the way back to 1904 up to 2018, and they found 4 cases where a registration number or serial number was used to solve a crime. And one of the 4 cases was iffy. It was debatable. It just doesn't work that way. When they recover guns at crime scenes, it's because the criminal is either dead or injured, or when they recover the gun there, it turns out to be a stolen gun. It never leads them back to a criminal. So it's another nonsense law that does nothing but hurt people. It hurts innocent people, and it does not accomplish the big goal they always say is what? To increase public safety, to reduce crime. It does neither of those things. What it does is, like you describe them as bear traps, right? It sets traps for normally law-abiding citizens to inadvertently become criminals. I mean, that's all it does.
And that's not just Joe's opinion. There's actually been a
Right.
scientific study.
That's right. I'm backed up.
You follow the
once.
science.
Science.
They studied California's law, and specifically they studied, all right, well, does it prevent crime to make sure that all guns are registered? And no, it doesn't. It's been proven again and again and again. And it's funny when you talk to people and say, hey, here's the deal, these ghost guns, serialized guns, et cetera, people kind of recoil and go, oh, well, it's not registered. There's no serial number. And I think that gun owners kind of makes people recoil a little bit, no pun intended there. But that's the right answer. The right answer is, hey, why? Why do you want it registered? What does that do? Well, it helps people solve crime. No, it actually doesn't. There's been zero evidence of that.
And actually, there is a reason. And again, we wrote about this before too. It's registration is the precursor to confiscation. I mean, that's the only reason to register fire. The government has no reason to keep track of that kind of stuff. They just don't. And like we're saying, it doesn't do anything for crime. And the other thing too is a lot of times, on the anti-gun side, I mean, a lot of these people on that side, I think, just don't know, and they don't bother to learn things. But the thing that I think is really, I don't know if frustrating is the right word from my point of view, but they don't understand the hobby aspect of this. Everybody, they jump on this. You look at what criminals do with guns. Okay, they kill other people, other criminals, other innocent people, but you never, that's certainly one thing you can do with a tool. I guess, I could use a hammer to hammer nails too, but it's just, there's so much more to the firearms. And, there are a lot of people that like building firearms, and people have been doing that since there have been firearms and people. And in fact, where we just stayed out in Arizona, the people we stayed with, the guy was showing me, he's making an AR. He was out in the shop machining it because he likes to do that stuff. He likes to work with his hands. He's good with wood. He works with metal stuff. And it's fun. It's a hobby. He's not hurting anyone. He has no plans to hurt anybody with it. And it's unfortunate they attack people like that.
Well, I think if there were, if someone said, hey, look, I'm going to show you how we have, how registering guns and having them serialized, I'm going to show you that they make a significant impact on preventing or solving crime. And we're gonna have extremely bulletproof laws, making sure that we don't use this system to take guns from people. I think I'd say, okay, great. If that's what's happening, if it's really truly not preventing, and you're not using it for confiscation, and it really truly is, taking away or helping to solve crime, I don't think there'd be an argument. But the reality is, they're using it to put people in jail who aren't really committing any other crime other than having an unserialized firearm. It's not preventing crime. It's not helping people solve crime. That doesn't make any sense. That truly doesn't make any sense. And for that reason, and the education it's an uphill battle. Trying to get people to understand, hey, look, it's an enormous uphill battle. But I still say that the secret to this whole thing is getting the right people elected. We're not, winning in court is, important. It's great. We're plaintiffs in 5 different lawsuits, but we've got to get the right people elected. Kamala Harris, started local. Now she's the vice president of the United States. She's the one that brought this thing in. It's not a coincidence that the vice president is from California, and this is a cut and paste law. Which, by the way, again, not a law. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
That it's not even a law. He's just changing what the executive branch defines as a firearm, which is probably where they're going to win in court.
Well, the only light at the end of the tunnel that I see is whoever comes in next hopefully will rescind that order, because they're not law. They're not cast in stone. It's just his strong tool for the time he's in office.
Which that's probably the faster route.
Yeah.
Is to get a new president elected. That's what we have to go through.
Yeah, well, pretty much just about anybody will fit the bill at this point.
Who do you think? Who do you think?
I would like to see DeSantis.
Yeah, from Florida?
Honest, from Florida. I'd like Trump to be more involved as an advisor but not running the show. Use your experience from 4 years and help somebody.
Like help DeSantis win.
Yeah, well,
not run against him.
Just
I think if those two run against each other, it's
toast.
It's
the Republican Party's done, and I hope they're smart enough to see that, and Trump's ego's small enough to accept it. Because it's really, this is going to be a good test just to see what's he going to put out for it. I think DeSantis could be just as good for the country as Trump, except you just don't get the flair.
He's not as divisive.
No, you can't wait to see what Trump is going to say.
Yeah.
And he says the same thing over and over and over.
Well, and he may be.
What do you think, Joe?
I don't think that. I think my opinion is a little bit different.
Who would you put?
I want to see Trump in there again because he should have been there.
So do I.
He should be there now. And he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he learned some things from the last 4 years and from that last election.
Right.
I would love to see 4 years of Trump followed by 12 years of DeSantis. 8 years of DeSantis.
Well, you know what?
That's what I would like to see.
That's a good one.
But, we'll see. I mean, it's anything, and there's always, remember the Thrilla from Manila coming back. Because there's nobody on the Democrats. Even the Democrats don't want to see Joe Biden. I don't think they want to see Kamala Harris. And Hillary is just chomping at the bit.
She's crazy.
So you may see a rematch of that, too. It's going to be a very interesting couple of years coming up, I think.
Well, since media controls everything, let that one play out because that's good TV.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that would be great.
There wouldn't be a TV set.
Well, plus you got maybe Twitter under new ownership coming up.
Oh,
so
how exciting is that? Have you been following that at all?
Yeah, I'm following it pretty close.
Oh, please let that happen.
They're just playing. They're playing a game right now, and he's better at the game than they are because it's just him against all these lawyers, all these investors. No, they're going, oh my gosh, he's trying to get in. He's trying to get in.
Teslas are less cool now, I hear, right?
Stock went up though.
Yeah,
I was really skeptical. Like when Elon Musk started kind of, in Tesla and everything, I
told my wife, because she does all the investing in the house, because she was looking at Tesla stock. I said, see? She goes, yeah, but they were struggling. I go, that's when you buy. And I don't even play the game, but yeah, she would have.
She said, what do you know about cars?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he didn't know anything. He didn't know anything either. But that was, that's an interesting trail he's blazed. And that's the easiest way to say that.
Well, I was skeptical about him in general. I didn't know if I liked him, but I like him. I think he's
so far so good. I mean, he's speaking up. I like people that speak up and speak their minds and follow their heart. I mean, whether I agree with them or not, I like to see people stand up like that. And he's got the power. He's got the horsepower to stand up and voice his opinion.
Horsepower meaning money.
Money, yeah.
Well, and he doesn't abuse it. It doesn't seem to me. He just seems matter of fact, and everybody listens. Like when they said, well, do you have a plan B? He goes, yes. and that was absolutely perfect because that's what you want out of somebody. And you could tell the guy's in charge. And all the other guys on the other side are running around like little mice in a maze trying to figure out where the cheese went. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to be good if it goes that way. It'd be good TV.
Yeah, it'd be good entertainment here.
And he doesn't overstep his bounds. Well, I don't know. Maybe buying Twitter could be
I think
but
that's great.
He doesn't like weigh in on every dang thing, and hey, this is important to him, and so
he'll probably put the right people in place. Is what he'll probably do. He'll buy out contracts, and he'll send all these people that he doesn't want in the organization. And most of them said they'd quit anyway, unless they're making over 6 digits.
Good, quit.
Yeah, well, yeah,
go get a real job.
Because really, what are you getting for your money as an employer? So. And all you can do is I thought when your ratings went into the tank, you're done.
No, CNN's still there.
That's what I just meant.
Can't go any lower.
But I mean, how can they still? I mean, there's somebody's just bleeding like crazy for ad dollars.
Well, if you
would think,
if you want more information, by the way, just to wrap this up, you want more information on the Biden gun control thing. I did a series of interviews last week, so go to our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/SDCGO. Or go to the website. We posted up the interviews on the website, and check it out. It's worth it. Don't get all wrapped up in it. We need you to do activism, not just watch a bunch of news. So get involved. San Diego County gun owners, Orange County gun owners, Inland Empire gun owners. Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 AM. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.